Okay, so have you ever like walked into a room or, you're about to talk to someone like on the train or something and you're just like, what are the rules here?
Totally.
Yeah, it's like that awkward, like, how to interact with like your best friend,
Right.
but then anyone else is just like,
Ugh, feels like a whole different model.
yeah, different rule book.
Absolutely.
So that's exactly what we're going to be diving into today, this idea of navigating those, stickier social situations where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing that with a book called Navigating Social Interactions, Boundaries, Dynamics, and Connections. Really great book.
Yeah.
I think you'll get a lot out of this.
For sure. And in this deep dive, we're going to look at, how you can interact respectfully in all sorts of different situations.
Right.
We're going to give you some tools to help you if there's some sort of conflict with somebody. And then we're even going to talk about like how to build up those genuine connections and also why sometimes people aren't so genuine in their interactions.
Interesting. Okay. So why don't we start right there with that idea of like, what are the different rules, or I guess we should say norms, when we're interacting with someone we don't know very well.
Exactly.
Versus our inner circle, our friends, our family.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. Like, how you interact with your mom is going to be very different than how you interact with, like, your boss.
Exactly.
Or, like, a cashier at the grocery store.
Yeah, totally.
And, this is something that the book really emphasizes, is that respecting these different norms and expectations for different social spheres, that's like the key to making those interactions smooth.
So can you give us an example? Like what does that look like in real life?
Absolutely. So like think about offering your seat up on a train to, somebody who might need it more, like an older person.
Oh, yeah.
Or someone who's pregnant or, at work, really listening to a coworker. Right.
When they're venting about a tough project.
Yeah.
These are like little things, but they show that you're considerate of other people.
Yeah, I love that.
And it makes that interaction so much smoother.
I mean, even if you're traveling.
Totally.
In different countries, there might be different customs.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and like learning those and respecting those is huge.
Huge.
Yeah, that's like a major way to show respect.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is being really aware of what's going on around you, like situational awareness.
Yeah, exactly. Situational awareness, like reading the room.
How do you do that, though? Like, what are you looking for?
Well, like, think about it this way. You walk into a room.
Okay.
What's the vibe?
Yeah.
Are people kind of like standoffish?
Right.
Are they really tense, or are they like relaxed and laughing?
Oh, so body language.
Exactly. Body language, tone of voice.
Mm-hmm.
Are people talking like this?
Right.
Or are they like really formal?
Right.
And the overall atmosphere, is it collaborative?
Is it competitive? All those things can give you a sense of like, okay, this is what's going on.
Oh, so then you know how to interact.
Exactly.
So that's great. But unfortunately, not all interactions are going to be positive.
Right. Of course not.
We're going to disagree. We're gonna have
conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we deal with those?
So this is something the book digs into as well, is like, okay, why do we have conflict?
Okay.
And it's a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just have totally different values.
Right.
Sometimes they communicate in totally different ways. Somebody might be like super direct and somebody else is like really indirect, and there's going to be a clash there. It could be something like broken trust, somebody did something that really hurt you.
Right.
And now there's conflict because of that. Or it could even be something like unrealistic expectations.
On so many different things.
So many different things.
Yeah. Yeah. What do we do about it, though, when we're in that moment? We're like, oh, this is not going well.
So that's where, the book gives us some really good strategies.
Okay.
And the first and most important one is communication.
Okay.
You got to be able to, express your own perspective, but also actually listen to what the other person is saying.
Okay.
And then setting boundaries, being able to respectfully say like, hey, this is not okay with me, or this is what I need.
Right.
And then, of course, we've all heard it before, empathy, trying to, even if you don't agree with somebody, trying to understand like, where are they coming from?
Yeah, why are
they're behaving this way? What's going on for them?
Right.
That can go a really long way.
Yeah, I'm curious about this idea that was in the book, too, about finding shared interests.
Yes.
How does that improve interactions?
So this is really fascinating because even when people have completely different values, if they can find some common ground, it kind of creates this bridge. So, imagine you have two coworkers and they have completely different political views, which is a really hot topic these days.
Yeah.
But they both love photography.
Right.
So they can connect over that.
Okay.
And that can actually, build up a rapport that goes beyond.
Interesting. So it's like taking a break from those things you don't agree on.
Yeah.
And just enjoying each other's company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can definitely relate to that. I once met someone, we did not see eye to eye on anything, but we both loved vintage sci-fi novels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that totally changed our interactions.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it really showed me oh, you can connect to someone.
Absolutely.
Even if you think you're totally different.
Yeah.
But, okay, so it's kind of like the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
What about the not-so-ideal scenario?
Yeah.
Like this idea in the Book of Deception, why would someone not be genuine?
Right. That's such a fascinating question because you would think you're going to get the best results if you're genuine.
Right.
But the truth is sometimes people aren't.
Yeah.
And it could be for a lot of reasons, like maybe they're afraid of being rejected.
Okay.
Or maybe they're trying to protect themselves, or maybe they have some conflicting loyalties or even their own insecurities are holding them back.
I guess it's not always a bad thing.
Right.
Right. It could be like a coping mechanism.
Absolutely. It's not always malicious.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes it's just how people are dealing with things.
It does make you wonder, though, if we start thinking that everyone might be deceiving us. Doesn't that make us super suspicious?
I mean, it's a valid concern. You don't want to become like a cynic,
right.
And distrust everybody. But it is about finding that balance.
Right.
Okay, I'm aware this could happen.
Right.
But I'm not going to assume that everybody is trying to deceive me.
Okay, so we've talked about deception.
Right.
But the flip side of that is connection.
Yes.
And the book really emphasizes that need for connection.
Oh, it's so important.
Why, though? What is it about connecting with others?
Well, it's so much more than just having people around.
Okay.
It's that feeling that you belong.
Mm-hmm.
It's having people who support you emotionally.
Right.
It's having people to share your experiences with, good and bad.
Right.
And it's feeling understood. All of those things contribute to our well-being.
Right. So much more than just being around people.
So much more.
Yeah. But then that also makes you think about those times when you are disappointed by someone.
Exactly.
Or they betray you in some way because you're like, wait,
right?
I thought we had this connection.
Yeah, it makes that hurt so much worse.
Right.
Because you're like, wait, I thought I could trust you.
Yeah. So then how do we build those really strong bonds?
Yeah. How do we get past those?
Yeah, the ones that can weather those tough times.
Right. So the book gives some really concrete things to focus on.
Okay.
The first is mutual respect. You have to value that other person and their perspective even when you're like, I do not agree with you.
Yeah.
The second thing is honesty. You have to be able to be yourself, openly, authentically. That's how you build trust.
Right.
And then the last thing is you have to be able to support each other through those challenges.
So it's like those people who are there for you when things are bad.
Exactly.
Those are the ones you really know.
Yes.
Have your back.
Yes, those are the keepers.
Wow. This has been a really interesting deep dive. I feel like there's so much to think about.
Yeah, there is.
And it really feels like navigating these social interactions outside our close circle, it takes a lot of work.
It does.
You have to really try.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, and be willing to adapt.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't just have one strategy and be like, that's going to work for everybody.
Right.
You got to adjust based on who you're interacting with.
So I guess as we wrap up here, I would just ask everyone listening to think about their interactions today. Were they more transactional, or did you really connect with someone?
That's a great question to think about.
Yeah, and how can you use what we talked about today to build those deeper, more meaningful relationships?
Yeah, that's something we can all work on.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And we'll see everyone next time for another deep dive.
Bye, everyone.
This is DigitView.